In class 6, you studied about ancient India. Then, in class 7, you studied about medieval India. Now, in class 8, you will be learning all about modern India. The death of Aurangzeb in 1707 is considered to be the beginning of modern period in India. So let's begin. Chapter 1, Arrival of Europeans in India. Just an overview about this lesson. In this lesson, we are going to see how mercantilism, that is a popular belief in the 19th and 18th and 19th century, that a nation must expand its foreign trade in order to strengthen its economy. So, this mercantilism led many European countries to look for new territories that could supply raw materials for European industries. Once they reached India by sea, they realized the importance of controlling native markets for obtaining cheap material. Thus, the practice of establishing trading posts began, and this led to trade wars. We will study about all this in context to India in this lesson. We have studied in our previous class that during Middle Ages also, India had trade relations with a lot of countries of the world. There was a lot of demand for Indian spices and textiles all over the world, especially the European markets. Various countries came to India from the northwest for trade purposes. Even the Arabs used land routes for many years when they carried the goods to Constantinople of Eastern Roman Empire. Constantinople was considered the gate to European markets. But in 1453 CE, the Turks took control of overland trade routes connecting Europe to the east. This put a stop to land routes used for trade, forcing the Europeans to look for new sea routes. Consequently, with industrial revolution going on in Europe, the search for cheap raw materials also increased. Again, a reason for search of new sea routes to India as the demand for cotton, textiles, silk and spices increased in the European markets. Christopher Columbus. Christopher Columbus was an Italian explorer who ventured out into the sea to look for India. He believed that he could go to the east via west also. So he started his journey to India but ended up reaching America. And until he lived under the misconception that he had discovered India. That is the reason even today the natives of America are called Red Indians. Vasco da Gama. He was from Portugal and he discovered the route to India. Via Cape of Good Hope of South Africa, he reached the port of Calicut on 22nd May 1498 and he got the permission from the king to trade. The Portuguese established a fort there and appointed a chief named Albuquerque, who later on conquered Goa also. Later, within a span of 100 years, they took control of Mangalore, Cochin, Diu, Mumbai and island of Lanka. However, the Portuguese rule soon came to an end. This is how. By the end of the 17th century, they had expanded their trade to Bengal. At that time, the Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan ruled from Delhi. The Subedar of Bengal complained to Shah Jahan about the behavior of the Portuguese. This resulted in the burning down of their ships and demolishing the fort of Hooghly. This brought an end to their trade except in Diu, Daman and Goa. The Dutch. The Dutch of Holland came to India at the end of the 16th century for trading. They established the Dutch East India Company in 1602. They had important factories in India at Masulipatam, Chinsura, Nagapattinam, Patna, Balasore and Cochin. They established forts at Pulicat and Madras. They broke the monopoly of Portuguese in India. Right? We had only the Portuguese trading before. Now we even have the Dutch. Dutch activities in India resulted in rivalry between the Dutch and the English, who had also entered India by then. They were later removed by the English and the French from the important position that they had earlier held. That is, the Dutch were finally removed. Meanwhile, the British East India Company, which consisted of a group of merchants who wanted to increase their wealth by trading in India, also entered in 1600 CE. The first British ship arrived in India at the port of Surat. This was in the year 1608 CE. Captain Hawkins, the captain of the ship, was the first British to set foot in India. He met Jahangir, but unfortunately he did not get permission to trade. Thereafter, Sir Thomas Roe arrived in India, who acquired the permission to establish a trading center in Surat. Later, Delhi went into the hands of Shah Jahan, and Shah Jahan gave the British the right to carry out trade in Bengal. Next, we have the French. The French established the French East India Company in the year 1664 CE. They established factories in Surat, Machilipatnam, Puducherry. The head of the French company was Joseph Francois Dupleix, who had the desire to expand the European rule in India. Thus, the French and the British stood in competition against each other, and there were innumerable disputes and battles, and finally it was the British that emerged as the winners. However, the French retained their control over trading centers of Puducherry, Mahe and Chandranagar. The British first started their trade on the banks of river Hooghly. Here they established forts which were garrisoned for their protection of the factory, and they finally got permission from the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb to trade without paying taxes against any annual payment. By this time, the East India Company was in a race to earn more and more money. As per the order passed in Bengal, only the company availed the benefit of tax-free trading. However, many officers who were engaged in private trade did not pay the tax. As a result, the income generated from the tax collection in Bengal reduced, which in turn was opposed by the Nawab of Bengal, who was Murshid Quli Khan. This dispute kept on recurring even during the time of Ali Vardi Khan. After Ali Vardi Khan, his son Siraj-ud-Daulah took charge. He got involved in a major battle with the British. Now in this lesson we have two important battles in history, that is the Battle of Plassey and Battle of Buxar. Let's start with the Battle of Plassey. Siraj-ud-Daulah, who had become the Nawab of Bengal in 1756, he was having an overwhelming influence over the British. The Britishers, they helped his competitors by conspiring against him so that he would not remain on the throne of Bengal. So there were frequent conflicts with the British merchants regarding the payment of taxes. When the British merchants failed to pay the taxes, the situation began to boil. He ordered the British should not fortify the factory but also pay the taxes as per the rules and trade as per the terms and conditions. This provocation was enough for Siraj to opt for war. He succeeded finally in expelling the British from Calicut, but the British counter-attacked under the leadership of Robert Clive, who had bribed Mir Jafar, the commander-in-chief of Siraj-ud-Daulah that is, with a promise to confer the throne of Bengal to him. With his help, that is with the help of Mir Jafar, Robert Clive defeated and murdered Siraj-ud-Daulah in the Battle of Plassey. This is the first war fought by the British Company in India, which marked the beginning of British rule in India. Coming to the Battle of Buxar. As promised, East India Company appointed Mir Jafar as Nawab of Bengal. Now Robert Clive, he went back to England, and with the passage of time, Mir Jafar became hostile towards the British. The company then decided to replace him with his son-in-law, that is Mir Qasim, who was an efficient, disciplined and clever ruler. The problem arose between Nawab and the company on account of non-payment of taxes, which ultimately brought both the forces face to face with each other. In 1763, Mir Qasim was defeated by the company, but he finally managed to escape. He recognized his army along with the forces of Nawab of Awadh, Shujauddaulah and Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II. The combined forces met the company's forces at Buxar in 1764. But the British East India Company won the war, and all of a sudden Bengal, Awadh and Mughal Empire was under their control. Robert Clive was sent to India to take control of the situation. This is how the East India Company, which was basically a trading company, emerged as a political power in the subcontinent of India. And with that, we come to the end of this lesson. Thank you.